Hello, so welcome to this third vlog, but the second in this vlog series where I make this animation short film. So, the issue that I'm going to make an animation for is the one concerning refugees. Why am I going to make one concerning refugees? I guess because it's trendy. Yes, it is trendy right now because the topic of refugees is actually growing up, and a lot of people, we've had like maybe past, depending on what part of the world you live in, there is no, maybe you haven't heard about recent rekindledness of slavery in Libya. There is slavery in Libya. Africans from Nigeria and Nigeria, Cameroon, Togo, West African countries in general, who usually try to run and run to Europe. They have to go through Libya and Morocco, but when they're in Libya, they're captured and sold as slaves. So the topic of refugee is actually quite big right now. There's so much refugee talk. There's so much like refugee reforms that are happening worldwide. So I decided I should make a film, but I'm going to make it about African refugees because I am in Africa and I am an African. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the structure on how to make a killer short film animation. You're going to see step by step. The reason why you're going to see step by step, because you have to see how it's done. So short films, there's always one challenge. You have to make it as simple as possible so that people can understand. So you have to make it as personal as possible. When I say personal as possible, and if you watch the videos from the Animation Factory, if you are a member from the Animation Factory, I talk about the importance of character web. There are principles that I stated that you should have in order to create a compelling stories like character web. Character web is when you have other characters or environment which actually explain about the main character rather than the main character proclaiming. For example, if you want your character to, if there's something maybe perhaps that has happened to the character that maybe perhaps his past, instead of having the character say like, when I was a child, this and this happened to me, you can have other characters say that for him. Maybe you can have I don't know how to put it because I haven't told you an example here, but all in all, you should try to make sure that most abilities or disabilities of the main character are not proclaimed by the character but rather projected. Yeah. Another thing you should know, the most important thing in film is emotions. It's how you make people feel. Empathy. You can try to have cool actions. That is why I also said there are very cool films like The Avengers. They had like so many cool sequences of actions, but it's you just remember them because they are Avengers. But if Avengers didn't have much marketing budget like it did, it will be hard for you to remember. Even in fact, it's very hard for you to remember the actions. You just remember, okay, in this film this happened, unless maybe you are a person who read the comics. But if you just watch the movies for the first time, it was the first time to be exposed to those characters, they're just not memorable. And so we have to make movies to be memorable. So in this, I'm going to show you what I'm going to be looking at. So I have something here that I call important points in any film. These are the most important points in any film. Oops, I'll be back. Somebody called me. I'll be back. Anyway, I'm back. So the most important things are these two over here: permanent disability and weakness. We're trying to create empathy. Empathy is we're trying to make the audience have feelings for the character. The only way we can do this, there are so many ways, but these are the most effective ways in which you can do this. Giving the character a permanent disability. Permanent disability. I'm going to talk about permanent disability and examples on how it has been used effectively. Permanent disability has been used. Let's start with Game of Thrones because it's famous. When you start with permanent disability, for example, in the Game of Thrones, we look at the character Jon Snow. Jon Snow has a permanent disability of being born a bastard. That is permanent. No matter what he does, at the end of the day, he is a bastard. So you are going to use permanent disability to generate challenges that are going to challenge the character. And if you are in the membership, and there's a video where I talk about importance of weakness. Every character should have a weakness and should overcome that weakness at the end of the day. Doesn't matter if they die or don't die, you should have a weakness and overcome. All films are weaknesses and overcoming weaknesses. So that's all films are all about that. The more intense you make this journey, the more intense the film will be, and the more memorable the film will be. The more you make the journey of overcoming weaknesses. If you love watching anime, Naruto in the anime, Naruto has a permanent disability of having a demon fox. That is a permanent disability. He carries that throughout his life. In fact, through having a demon fox, he's faced with challenges. Example, people are scared of him. People spoke badly of him. People, they segregated Naruto because of the demon fox that he had. And that is a permanent disability. All the most memorable characters have permanent disabilities. Even characters in comedy. If you have watched Family Guy, Peter has a permanent disability of being stupid. That is a permanent disability. And so challenges come from permanent disability. And so this is the part, like I said, when it comes to writing a story. When it comes to making a film, the story is actually the most important part, and we should pay the most important and the most attention. So here we're going to pay the most important attention to these two. We want to make these to be as deep as possible. So comes to permanent disability. So the first permanent disability for my character, by the way, and as I'm making this film, this is my character. This is what I'm thinking my character should be. I'm thinking my character should be a refugee boy, and the challenges he faces as a refugee boy until he escapes. Until he escapes his country and becomes a refugee of some other in another country. So the first permanent disability that I'm going to give this person here, which is like natural, so obvious, the fact disability is that he is born in a war-torn country. So this is a disability that this character is having, and this disability is going to torture him, and then we are going to undergo transformation. You're going to see later on. So I'm not going to give him one disability. I'm going to give him another disability because I want to make this deep, and I want him to be physically disabled, like seriously, a physical disability. I'm going to give him a physical disability. So in this physical disability, it is something that this physical disability is something that he's it's like an injury that he'll get during the war, and I think that should be my starting point in the story. So through this, I can actually generate a story. So what I want to make it, because this is a short film, I'm thinking about making a 3 minutes one. I want to make it as short. I want to make it as simple as possible. So I'm thinking that he should have a physical disability. I was thinking maybe should he be deaf, but I want to give him a physical disability that is going to be moving. When he undergoes through all those limitations, or through all those challenges. I want to give him a physical disability that people be like, wow, this character is strong. But we're going to start from a weakness point here. I was thinking I should make him cripple, like he should be working on those sticks. I don't know what they're called, crutches. I don't know. But I was thinking that is going to be difficult to animate because in the animation factory, by the way, there are already actions that will just be put in inside. So I don't have to animate anything. I'll just have to animate. I'll have to animate the most important things. But I was thinking that will take a long time to animate, and if I choose to go with that path and make him crippled to the point he's like walking those sticks, it will be difficult to animate and might actually even triple the amount of time I will spend on this film, and I don't want that. I want to make it as uh, as I want to make it as quick as possible, but I also don't want to lose too much. The disadvantages I have to say with these processes that I'm presenting here at the animation factory is because most of the things are are automated. You really don't have control. But if you want control, then you go back to the traditional ways of hustling. Making an animation through hustling. But I don't want to do that because I might make this and people might not like it. I don't. Yeah, even though it might be deep, maybe it might not get that much attention because maybe people wanted more. If it was more focused on Syrian refugees, but anyway, that is what I'm thinking right now. But yeah, so physical disability. What physical disability should I give this character? I was thinking deafness, but I don't think deafness will be that challenging to a refugee and soon to be migrant. I was thinking perhaps maybe. What should I do? He needs to have a physical disability, which is very important. Like I said, if I put it here, it will be deep. Hashtag deep. Let's say he loses his arm. Let's say doesn't have an arm. Let's start with one. Yeah, this one is going to be easy to animate because animation you can just ignore the arm, but when it comes to the leg, that's like walking, running. All those movements are highly dependent on the leg movements. So I'll go with this one. Doesn't have an arm, and then after doesn't have an arm, I think I should add more. He loses his eyesight. No, he shouldn't be blind. He needs to see because there are actions that are going to happen to him. I want him to see those actions. Doesn't have an arm. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll go with this one. Now, weaknesses. Weaknesses, all characters have to be weak. If a character starts out strong, the journey is not going to be that engaging. This is the problem that previous movies had. They were cool movies, but movies which were like those Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie. The characters were just stronger than the enemy, so it was all about like watching like one big WWE and cheering for John Cena. In that case, John Cena being Arnold Schwarzenegger, or maybe Sylvester Stallone as Rambo. So, but when Hollywood started creating characters with weaknesses, they saw that people were more engaged. People watched a movie and they thought about it even after, and they talked about it even after. But if they didn't put a character with weaknesses, people just, wow, that's a nice movie, they'll cheer, then poof, they forget about it. Anyway, so weaknesses. This character, because I'm envisioning this character to be this kid over here, so I'm going to imagine that this kid starts here, and maybe he's going to grow up to be something like this one here. But I'm thinking this kid here starts. First of all, he is fundamentally weak. Like, weaknesses you know, I'll start with scared and fear, and yeah, always be a scared person, and mm, so all those um weaknesses I'm going to put here, and then I'm going to add another part here, weaknesses, and then how should I put? I should just put here weaknesses and after weaknesses, weakness, what he becomes. Yeah, so maybe perhaps I'll change this as time goes on, but I want him to become a strong leader. Exactly. But he's going to start as scared, somebody who is scared. So I want him to become a strong leader. Okay. So what I'm thinking right now in this animation is I'm thinking that this kid will start in a country. I haven't selected a country because I want to also make the events to be historically accurate, but I think I will select Rwanda. You know, in that Rwanda genocide, I will select Rwanda because Rwandan refugees have been having a lot of trials and maybe not enough attention. But I'll start with Rwanda, but I don't want to make it too controversial. This is Africa. If people want to bury things and you start to rekindle them, anyway, I'm not going to go with Rwanda because it's a peaceful country right now. I don't want to to be thought of as somebody who's trying to wake the dead. I'll go with which one is going to be fitting. I'll go with Somalia. Should I go with Somalia? I'll go with Sudan. Yes, I'll go with Sudan because I think Sudan is going to be fitting here. So I'll go with Sudan. So what I'm thinking right now is this character should starting point. You know, when you're making a movie, you should know where you start and you know where you should end. That is most important. You shouldn't start a movie you don't know where you're going to end. You have to know where you start. This is, like I said, I'm putting here the most important things. I know you know where you're starting and you should know where you end. It's okay to not know where you're going to go in between, but you should know where you end. So starting point, Sudan. Maybe I should put in brackets, Sudan Civil War. Civil War. And then my ending point, this guy is going to somehow end up in the US, in the UN headquarters. It's not how you like quarter. Headquarters in, is it in New York? I don't know. Yeah. So I know how it's going to start and I know how it's going to end. So this person is going to start as a boy and it's going to end as that. So another thing, one thing that it's a technique actually that is actually used in comedy, but I'm going to use it here in a film. In comedy, when you want to create a punchline, you use this technique of repetition. You know, like you repeat the same thing and you repeat it in a climatic way, in like how do I put this? Like, for example, there's this joke Russell Peters talks is about his father. You know, he said his father used to beat him up, and he had, you know, so it starts like when my father used to beat me up. So before he beats me up, he says that somebody's going to get hurt, and then so he said that somebody's going to get hurt at the beginning, and then he's going to use that punchline like 3 times, you know, in that story. So later on he says that he goes to his white friend, because Russell Peters is like an Indian Canadian, I don't know, or Indian American. So he's going to go to his white friend, and he tells his white friend, you know, my father beats me up. And you know, he says, what? I just tell my mother, fuck you, and she doesn't do anything. He says, how do you do that? You know, I threaten to call child support. So Russell Peters goes back to his father, and then he tells his father, "Fuck you," and then his father, What are you? I mean, like, why? I mean, he's like, his father stands like, "Why are you saying that to me?" And then he says like, "If you try to beat me, I'll call child support." And then his father replies, "Yes, but it will take them 20 minutes to get here. But until they get here, somebody's going to get hurt." So it's like that technique. He used that statement, "Somebody's going to get hurt," like 3 times into the joke, to the point on the third time when he says it, it's funny because it has already established like it's like a saying. So this is not a comedy film, but that is actually a technique I can use in this film. So I'm going to have like something I want to repeated. This is what I want repeated. I want this line to be completely repeated, and it's called, "I will not inherit a war." No, in fact, it's not "I will not inherit a war." I refuse. I refuse to. Oops. I refuse to inherit a war. So this is like, because it's a short film, and I want to repeat this line throughout the film, and you're going to see how it's going to be repeated. But this is what I want to repeat, this statement, "I refuse to inherit a war." In fact, this statement is even used in, this technique is even used in love films, whereby you see like there's these beautiful words, I don't know, that are said maybe at the between of the film, and then they come and have a meaning at the end. Yeah, I don't think if I can explain it better than that, but yeah. So this is going to be my repeated line: "I refuse to inherit a war." So my character is going to be saying this repeatedly at different circumstances. So in this "I refuse to inherit a war," it pretty much is also acts as a theme. And maybe perhaps I might even call this film "I refuse to inherit a war," because yeah. So let me look if I'm missing anything. So this is what I have right now. So yeah, so these are the most important things, and later on I'm going to storyboard, and in the storyboard video I'm going to show you how I arrange what I want, different kinds of actions. And after I storyboard, and I'm going to have something, I'm also going to show you what else I'm going to have, but yeah. And then I'm going to create the characters. I'm going to show you how I create the characters. So yeah, see you in the next video.